What is up, everybody? Welcome to Pub Sports Radio. This is the Draftkings Picks and Prediction Show for UFC 299. We got Sean O'Malley going against Dustin Poirier 2. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to this card. I love this card from a DraftKings perspective. It's a card where I think it's, there's your obvious fights you want to target, and there's some obvious fights you kind of want to stay away from. We got 14 fights to work with. So yeah, we're looking forward to breaking it all down. Before we do so, you guys could please do us a favor, leave a like on the video, subscribe here to Pub Sports Radio. Check out the weekly Pick'ems contest on pubsportsradio.com as well. And just going to kick it around. We got Weezy, Monk, and Gordo in the building. It's been 3 weeks since we've had the whole crew together, so happy you all are here. We'll kick it first to Uncle Weezy. Uncle Weezy, looking forward to UFC 299.
Yeah, this is the card of the year. This is probably going to be the best card that we see all year, just in terms of name value. From bottom to top, great fights all the way through. These 4 prelim fights are ridiculous. They would be headlining a lot of cards, a lot of Apex cards, and then you get to the main card, it gets even better. Debut of Michael Venom Page. We get to see Robelis Despain shave the ass of Josh Parisian. This is gonna treat, man. I can't wait to break this one down with you guys.
Absolutely. Monk, you made it barely, but you're here. Glad to have
They
you.
tried to hold me back, Brady. They tried. They sent 2 trains at me. They sent red lights at me. 2 trains, but I prevailed this week. I would not miss the 2 night. I would have done it from the side of the damn road if anything crazy happened this week. So we recovered from the flat tire. Apparently they stopped putting spares in new cars after the year like 2018. So you know, a tire change turned into a tow truck, turned into 2 new tires later. That's how they get you. By the way, you blow 1 tire, you're buying 2 tires, bud. That's what you're going to be doing. But that's all in the past, and we have 299 straight ahead out of our windshield, and I am really looking forward to that. As Weezy said, a ton of banger fights, and yeah, a couple of of my favorite fighters on here rocking the Cheeto Vera hoodie. Let's go, baby.
Are you rocking the Josh Parisian hoodie?
No, it somehow is still too big. So yeah.
I see. Gordo, nice to have you as well. What is up? You looking forward to 299?
So kind of you, man. No, I'm happy to be here. It's such a massive card, one of the stacked from top to bottom. And with 14 fights, 14 really name value opponents we have here, we really have to break it down, find the good spots. And I'm happy to hear all 3 of your thoughts on this card. It's a very, very fun one. Happy to talk through it and really looking forward to it from both a fan and a betting perspective.
Sounds good, guys. All right. I do want to shout out the chat before we get started. And all right, let's see here. Scrolling up. We got Dixon, first one in the building. What is up, baby boys? It's kind of weird thing to say, but what's up, Dixon? We got Spencer in the building. Olajuwon. We got Trevor in the building saying Vera by sub. Yeah, Vera by sub. That prop is very juicy. We got Dr. Stinknugs. Very interesting name. I like it. The card is sick. It is sick. We have the Becca 01. Love the draft. Appreciate that. We love doing it. And then Becca, we'll get to the questions at the end as always. I'll start it and then I'll get to it. All right. So I think with all that out of the way, guys, I say we get right into it. We're going to start with the fight to target. I think there's like a couple of like really good ones to target this week. So I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts. We'll start with you, Gordo. What is your favorite fight to target for UFC 299?
What an honor. Get to go first. And I'm going to talk about one that honestly I'm really looking forward to, but one that I think there is very valid opinions to be made for both sides. And that's going to be the spot right at the middle, Blaydes Almeida. It's a heavyweight scrap one with 2 of the best wrestlers we have this heavyweight division. I do think this fight comes with a very offensive heavy mindset. Both these guys are phenomenal drafting scores. Almeida's averaging 120 in his perfect career so far in the UFC, whereas Blaydes, the guy who's been there at the top. When he's gone out there and he's won fights dominantly, he has had the opportunity to score 117 against Aspinall. Again, not really counting that too much, but 172 against Volkov in a 5-rounder there, 120 against Abdurakhimov. Both these guys are no stranger to some high scores, and I do think that this fight here has the potential to go out there and have some very high scores attached to it, whether it be the wrestling heavy of both guys or maybe Blaydes showing Almeida levels to this thing, Almeida ushering in the youth. Who knows? It is a very, very fun fight, one that I'm excited to target from both sides, and a great fight to target.
Yep, that's one that I've written down as well. Parisian by A KO would be wild, just in time indeed. For me, I'm going with one of the 5-round fights for this week, and it's going to be Benoît Saint Denis going against Dustin Poirier. The fight doesn't go anywhere from like minus 500 to minus 600. And Benoît Saint Denis fight, which means it must be targeted here. This guy is an absolute madman. This fight's going to be a car crash. Somebody is going to be getting served. And I'm personally more so on the Benoît Saint Denis side. He's going to be 7 years younger. I think at this point he's the more durable guy, the hungrier guy. Dustin Poirier has been coming out talking about, the end is very near at some point. Maybe this is his last fight. Maybe it's not. But on the flip side, you got Dustin Poirier at 7,300, very, very cheap. And it shouldn't surprise anybody if, he goes out there and pieces up Benoît Saint Denis, who blocks punches with his face. So I think somebody gets served here. I'm more so on the BSD side myself, but it's a fight I'm going to be very heavily exposed to, pretty close to as 100% as possible. Monk, what is your favorite fight to target for this week?
Those are the first two on my list as well. I'll go with number 3, the Battle of the Michels. The loser has to change his name to Michael. We've got Michel Pereira and Michael Oleksiejczuk. This is mostly just because of Oleksiejczuk. I mean, especially since the guy went down to middleweight, hold on, if I could find.
You got it.
Oh, there we go. Excel is slower than the trains tonight, I tell you what. Before he moved down to middleweight, or since he's moved down to middleweight, rather, he's 3-1. Every single one of his fights has ended within the first 7.5 minutes. Basically, the one fight that got extended out of the first round, he lost to a Brazilian grappler. So with any luck, Michel Pereira has at least watched the Caio Borralho fight between him and Oleksiejczuk. But then on the Oleksiejczuk side, obviously his 3 wins are all KO TKO wins in the very first round, in which he has scored well over 100 points, 124, 105, 117. Not the best competition, but Pereira's not fighting like super killers either. So, and his scores are a lot lower for the most part. But when Oleksiejczuk loses, and this is the big one, he gives up an average of 110.34 points in his career. So there are a ton of points flying around, and actually in specifically middleweight fights, that's his ceiling. It's 106.97. So it is right there. So I'm loving this fight. I think the winner scores very well, whether it's a Michael knockout or a Michel knockout / submission. I think the winner has the potential to score well, and I like the salaries here a lot.
All right, and last but not least, Uncle Weezy, what is your favorite fight to target?
Yeah, you guys pretty much nailed all of them, but the other one you can target is Burns Della Maddalena. We got a striker versus grappler matchup. If this one stays on the feet, Jack Della is going to probably put up a ton of points and beat 7 shades of shit out of Gilbert. And if Gilbert gets this fight to the ground, man, Jack gives up his back. He makes mistakes down there. If he'd been in there with some better grapplers that had put him into some bad spots, guys like Amiv, guys like Angalusa, this is Gilbert Burns. This is a world Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu no-gi champion here. So, I think that somebody is really likely to get served in this fight, and you could get a cheap guy in Burns who could get takedowns and potentially a submission, or you could pay up for Della Maddalena, hope he keeps it on the feet and works that boxing and finds a KO.
Yep, absolutely. I had that one written down as well. There's one we didn't talk about, but I'm sure we'll talk about it later. That really sticks out to me also. All right, next we'll move on to the fight to fade. We'll start with you, Monk. Monk, which fight are you fading for this week?
I'm going to take. Actually, I'll take a little bit. One maybe a little different. I don't know what people are thinking. Phillips and Pedro Munoz. Kyler Phillips and Pedro Munoz. Just because I don't like their scores historically. They both, at least in the, more recent wins, have struggled to put up any kind of worthwhile DraftKings score. Kyler Phillips has been on the door of 100 points against Cameron Ellis, against Marcelo Rojo, but he's also put up scores like 76 against Raoni Barcelos and 73 in a very good win on paper against Song Yadong, also on this card. Meanwhile, Pedro Munoz, love to watch him fight. But against Chris Gutierrez, another striker, 72 points in that win. While it was a big win at 6,800, that's probably not going to get the job done at this week with 28 fighters popping off. So I'm thinking this one probably goes to decision, and I think the winner doesn't score very well. In fact, their average is super quick. When Kyler wins, 87.44. And when Munoz wins, 96.28. So obviously at the much lower salary, I like the Munoz upside a little bit better than Phillips. But the key here is when they lose, when Phillips loses, he allows 71, and when Pedro loses, he allows 81, just under 82. So not a lot of points being thrown around here. Two tough guys. Think it goes to decision. And yeah, winner scores 75 to 85. So give me the slight fade on what should be a banger of a fight.
All right, Uncle Weezy, which fight are you fading?
It's going to be the Holland Page fight for me. And really, it has nothing to do with Kevin Holland. It has to do everything with Michael Venom Page, the way that this guy fights. Extremely low volume sniper from the outside. So a lot of people fight scared against Michael Venom Page, and they don't throw much. And Michael throws less than his opponents, but he's so powerful. He's so explosive. He's fine with just waiting to land that big shot, because even if he waits too long, his opponents are usually too scared to do anything anyway. So he can do nothing for 12 and a half minutes and still win a fight, because he's the guy who's actually gliding around the cage, looking a little bit smoother, looking a little more dangerous. So I could see this fight really kind of being extremely low volume. There's a prize picks play. I'm going to talk about this a little bit too, that I think just makes no sense as well. So yeah, I'm staying away from that fight.
All right, yeah, I mean, I like both those. I'm staying away from both those, and I'm also staying away from the Maycee Barber, Katlyn Chukagian fight. Yeah, Maycee Barber's was talking all day about how she's going to get a finish. I don't really think so. On top of that, you just have so many great plays around Maycee Barber. You got Benoît Saint Denis, 100 more. I even think Marina Moroz is very sneaky this week at 9,000. Sean O'Malley's up there, and below her you have guys like Jack Della, Ian Kudalaba, Curtis Blaydes, Almeida, just so I can't quite get to Barber. I do think she wins this fight, but I also think it could be close. Like, Katlyn Chukagian typically makes fights very, very close. I think it goes to decision. Don't see a ton of wrestling either side. Maybe Barber can hit a takedown or two, but yeah, I think for the most part, this goes to decision. It's the least likely fight to finish as well, and it's a fight I'll be staying away from for the most part. And then, Gordo, what fight are you fading for this week?
Yeah, I completely agree with that one. Not the highest on my priority list this week, especially considering the pricing around them. I think Chukagian's able to keep it close. And you know what? If there were bonus points for the moaning inside the cage, the this would be a good fight to target. But not at this point here. I think there are better fights around them. I think there are fights that are more implied to end inside the distance and one with higher upside. I will be staying away from this one.
All right. Dustin Poirier, 4th round KO. I cannot wait for that fight. We got Kyle Marley in the building. What is up? Let's get rich. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's take down a tournament. All right. Weezy took one down last week. So Weezy, make it 2 in a row. Make it 2 in a row.
Let's go. Let's do it.
Took down my tournament too, the Iron Man.
Dang. And he took down our little tournament as well. He took down everything.
It was a great lineup I had last week.
All thanks to Ayman Zahabi?
Yeah.
Did it.
Zahabi and Ludovic Klein. Holy shit, did he beat up AJ Cunningham? He put up like 130 points or something.
I felt bad. They were talking about how Cunningham dealt with so much terrible stuff in his life, all whilst getting just completely battered on. It was tough to watch.
The things they were describing were truly awful. Like really, like shit you'd hear on Dateline. They'd blur it out, and he's just getting. Oh, I felt like bad. I wanted to like give him shit at first, and then they started talking, and then I felt bad, and yeah, just a crazy.
And
fight.
DC was kind of making fun of him too. He was like,
yeah, weird,
crazy dude. But poor Cunningham. He's tough, but I mean that body shot was nasty. But yeah, congrats to Weezy. Weezy killed it last week from a DraftKings perspective. All right, moving on to the fighter to fade. I'll kick this one off. Monk, you touched on this fight. It's Kyler Phillips for me, 9,100. I think he wins the fight. I think it's a good matchup for him, but I think he wins it by decision. I saw a graphic on Instagram. I think like maybe ESPN tweeted or not tweeted it, posted it on Instagram. And it said, it had like the streak or the amount of times somebody's fought in the UFC without getting finished. Marlon Vera was up there. And then also, Pedro Munoz is up there as well. Munoz is extremely tough, extremely durable, never been finished, and I don't think he probably ever will be. So yeah, I think Kyler Phillips wins this fight, but I think he wins it by decision. I think he is the better striker, more volume on the feet, better movement, quicker as well. Maybe mixes in a takedown, but yeah, I think Kyler Phillips wins by decision. I just think there's guys around him or ladies around him with grappling upside like Moroz, Benoît Saint Denis. You got Despain, who I think wins in 20 seconds as well. So I can't see myself getting to Kyler Phillips. Monk, who do you like for a fade this week?
Well, we'll just switch places. I'll go with Maycee Barber at 88. You touched on that fight. in the fighter fight to fade overall, and I have to agree with my fighter to fade. Yeah, she's on at least a 5 streak tear. I just have 5 fights in front of me. I mean, the names are okay. We got Amanda Hebus, who's looked pretty decent. The Jessica, I'll always root for someone against Jessica I. Katlyn Cerminara, speaking of records, finish records in the UFC, I think she has the most ever wins. Somebody can check me on this. Most ever wins in the UFC without a finish, or most wins in a row without a finish, something like that. So we're expecting like a 60 to 70 point victory from either one of them here. And no matter what, 8,800 is not going to pay that off unless you get a finish on Miss Cerminara. So yeah, I'm thinking the big fade on 8,800 Maycee Barber. Also, people nickname the future, man. It's rough to play them in DraftKings. They'll get you like 60 to 70 points every time, guaranteed.
Yeah, I mean they'll win, but they don't have much
Right.
upside typically. Yeah. So yeah, me and Monk trading places there. Gordo, who are you fading for this week?
Those are the 2 names I got circled. I don't got much more to add than that. Kyler Murray was top of my list for me as well. So who knows, Brady? Maybe we're seeing these a bit closer. I think that Kyler Phillips, though, is a guy who just has a lot of things going against him this week. I think he has a potential to win this fight. I think he's very talented and all this stuff, but he's facing a very, very durable guy with good takedown defense. And if you're not going to go out there and get a finish or land a ton of takedowns, are you going to outscore a Benoît Saint Denis, a Robert Despain, a Mateusz Gamrot, and a Asiel Mabayev? It's really tough for me to see he can. So for that reason, he's not someone I'm getting to that often.
Yeah, you did say Kyler Murray. Shout out to Kyler Murray.
Who the hell is Kyler Murray?
Don't roster him on UFC 299, man. He's gonna get his ass kicked if he goes out there. Yeah, he's gonna be running like CJ Vergara away from Daniel Lacerda. That's what he's gonna look like in there.
Well, I'd fade Kyler Murray even more. That's there. Both Kylers. You got Kyler in your name this week. Not
absolutely. And then Weezy, who are you fading?
So the fade for me this week is going to be Petr Yan, and it's not because I think that he's not going to win the fight or anything like that. It's just the stylistic components of that fight. Song Yadong's got really good takedown defense, really hard to hold down if you do get him down. So I kind of feel like this is going to be a boxing match with very few takedowns, if any, and I think it goes to decision. And both of these guys are extremely durable. I really don't see any knockdowns happening. I just think that you don't want to really pay 8,300 for Petr Yan. I'd be surprised if he scored more than 70, 75 points. You know, both of these guys, Yan and Yadong, they both allow less than 2.7 points per minute. You know, so the way that they fight, the fact that it's probably going to decision 3 out of 4 times, I think it's a pretty safe fight to avoid in general. And if you're going to avoid the fight, you might as well avoid the guy that cost more than the guy that costs less. So in this case, that's Yan. It's not a commentary on his talent or his ability to win this fight. It's just the stylistic component of it.
Yeah, makes sense. And I looked up the height and weight for Murray, and he's a lot bigger than I thought. He's 5'10", 207, so would probably be fighting at middleweight, so maybe he can weigh in as a backup for Pereira Olszewski.
Put him against Darren Wynn. Let's see what he's made of.
Okay. I think Darren Wynn might fall down the stairs before the fight. Was that him?
I remember when that happened.
Fell down the stairs before a fight? I couldn't believe it. Who was he supposed to fight? I don't even know.
I think he was fighting somebody at the bottom of the stairs, and like he saw the guy, and he's like, "Oh no!" And then he just fell down. You know?
Yeah, that was crazy. I've seen guys drop out of fights for different reasons, but falling down the stairs was definitely a new one. All right, we'll move on now to our favorite underdog, and we'll start with Uncle Weezy. Weezy, who's your favorite dog this week?
The dog this week that I'm going to give you guys is the Bootsy Collins Memorial Dogs Are Barking pick of the week, and it's going to be Mihail Oleksiejczuk. You know, he might win, he might lose, but man, when this guy wins, he's finishing dudes, and he forces a fight. So he's going to put Michel Pereira on the back foot. He's not going to give Michel Pereira space, and if he does both of those things, I think there's a really good chance that he walks him down and lands big shots, potentially gets a finish in the first or second round. And even if he doesn't do that, Pereira, you know, I think his finishing power is very overrated. He knocked out Danny Hot Chocolate Roberts. Who cares? And then he knocked out like Petrosky, who was like running from the airport to the Apex to get to that fight on time. And he got knocked out 15 seconds into the fight. One of the worst performances I've ever seen. So, I kind of feel like Oleksiejczuk, the win condition could score huge for him this week. And I think that he's going to flat out win this fight. So at 7,500, I think he's a really good option.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a fight we haven't talked about, which I think this fight's very, very important this week. It's a fight that is right now, they don't have a fight, doesn't go to decision line out for it. But right now, I see the under 2.5 at -400, the under 1.5 at like -150. And it's the Ion Cutelaba Philippe Lins fight. And it's a fight where it is an Ion Cutelaba fight, which means it's going to be very chaotic. Ion Cutelaba is going to go out there and potentially win the first round. He's very front loaded, but he only has about 5 minutes of gas. If Philippe Lins can survive the first round or maybe even get an early finish himself, I think he takes over as the fight goes on. 7,800 in a fight that I think scores very well. So give me Lins there. Olazechuk was probably my number one as well. I think that Olazechuk and Pereira fight should be lined a lot closer personally. Gordo, who's your favorite dog this week?
Yeah, I think there's many to choose from. And as I'm out here debating this online and I'm dealing with something here, the guy sticking in the back of my head is a guy who I think is in a very, very close matchup. One where this could look like a hindsight, very, very bad pick. But an underdog I like DraftKings this week is going to be Gilbert Burns, 7.6K. I think he's getting a very, very decent stylistic matchup for him offensively. He's a guy who I do think has the offensive skill set to go out there and look like a hindsight favorite. Shall it go to the ground? He does have better level of experience. We have seen Jack Della Maddalena taken down and put in precarious situations before, and that makes it so a guy in Gilbert Burns very interesting at 7.6K. Yes, on the feet, there are some questions. There's a lot of things to be answered about Burns' mentality and will to win in this game right now, but we all know when it gets to the ground who's the better fighter down there. We do think that there is a opportunity or a path for him to win, and I do think that makes it for a very intriguing underdog at 7.6K.
Yep.
Did I say Kyler Murray that time, or?
I don't think you did. I think you got it all right. So yeah, that's that Burns and Jack fight, I think, is a great one to target. And Monk, how about you? What do you like for a dog this week?
I'll go with the most expensive dog on the card. My guy Jailton Almeida here at 8K. I don't care who he's fighting. He has the potential to score a ton of points. I believe every single one of his fights, he's put up over 100, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, every single one of them over 100. I mean, Blaydes is no joke. Top of the division. He is a freak scorer at 5 points. Both guys score over 5 points a minute. Almeida just slightly more, about a quarter of a point more than that. Curtis Blaydes scored 7 points a minute inside the distance to Almeida's 5. However, he does allow slightly more, and he only has, only 9 times has a takedown been attempted against Blaydes. 4 of them have landed. So he's got kind of a weird 56% takedown defense. I don't know how we can look at that. But the main thing I want to mention is just Almeida should be the most athletic fighter that Curtis Blaydes has fought. Maybe you could argue Aspinall. That was a freak fight, though, so we have to throw that out. But certainly in the last 4, he's by far the most athletic. Sergey Pavlovich, Chris Daukaus, who's the opposite of athletic, Jairzinho Rosenstruik, and then Derek Lewis as well. So I'm thinking Almeida could potentially show Blaydes something here with his athleticism. And if it starts to go his way, I think a snowball effect is totally in play, and Almeida can just rack up the points. So give me the guy that's probably the best DraftKings player on the entire card in Jailton Almeida as an underdog this week. I mean, he's been 94, 95, 97, 96, 96 in his past 5. He's made optimal in 5 out of 6, and now we get him for 8K. Yes, sir. I will take it.
People forget, man. People forget.
People do be forgetting, Brady.
They do be forgetting. They do. DP is another underdog that's definitely can't be ignored. Dustin Poirier at that price tag. All right, so we'll move on now to our prize picks section here, and I guess I'll kick us off. So this is one that has actually moved a little bit. Let me see what it is right now. Okay, so Rebellis de Spain, it was 4.75 minutes. It's now 4, but I still think it hits. I mean, if you add up this guy's entire career, it barely goes over 4. His last 3 wins have come in at like a combined 20 seconds. It's just ridiculous. This guy apparently has the death touch. He's 6'7" with like an 87-inch reach. It's crazy. And, I just have a strong feeling that Parisian's going to go out there and try to strike with this guy. And if he does, he's probably going to get finished in very brutal fashion. I feel like this is a setup spot here for, to get Despain, not only a win, but like a highlight, brutal, devastating knockout win here against Josh Parisian. Does Josh have some paths to victory? Sure, yeah. I mean, if he gets him down, but I don't know. I kind of feel like Josh is going to strike with him early, and that's going to end very quickly there. So not only do I think Despain can win this fight in 4 minutes, I think he probably can win in like 60 seconds or less as well. So give me the less on 4 minutes fight time there. Gordo, what do you like for Prize Picks this week?
Yeah, we're going to kind of keep on harping on my fade this week. And typically I don't like to go out there and take unders. I just think the Kyler Phillips line is a bit too high this week. I'm not saying he doesn't win this fight. I'm not saying he goes out there and struggles. I think he has a very good path, but he's facing a very, very tough, durable guy in Pedro Munoz, a guy who is not only very, very durable on the feet, but he's also a guy who's really hard to take down. And when the fantasy score for Kyler Phillips, not Murray, is set at 90 points, I do think that it's going to be really tough for him to go out there and exceed that. On Prize Picks, you only get 20 points for a decision win. It's not like on DraftKings where you get 30 for a decision win. So I do think it's going to be even harder to reach 90 points. And I think that even at that, I think it's going to be even difficult for him to reach a win in the first place too. It's going to be a very close competitive fight. And I just think it goes under there.
All right, Uncle Weezy, what do you got for Prize Picks this week?
Yeah, I like the Kevin Holland under for significant strikes because of Michael Venom Page. I mean, I never see, I haven't seen anybody land more than 10 strikes on Michael Venom Page in a fight. So I just think the way that the style that Page brings to the cage, we're basically getting a number that's based on Kevin Holland's history. We have no UFC stats from Michael Venom Page. So it's only taking half of this situation into account. The half it's taken into account is a guy who's landing over 6 distance strikes per minute. You cut that in half for a fight like this, and that's if you're lucky. So the way that Page hits and the way that he has that Taekwondo bladed style where he's basically begging you, come here, try to hit me. It actually usually forces the exact opposite out of the opponent. You would think the opponent's like, oh, this guy's hands are down. I'm going to run in here and hit him with everything I got. No, it makes you even more tentative. So I love the under stylistically. It's not a data play. It's just a pure play on the style of Michael Venom Page fights.
No, I like it. It makes sense. I went with the fantasy score less as well. I think it could be like a very, very low scoring fight. I'm seeing it the exact same way. Monk, what do you like for Prize Picks this week?
Yeah, I had that one on my list for sure. I'm going to go with the Maddalena over 10.5 minutes against Gilbert Burns. These two guys are tough as hell. Maddalena, obviously, with some really quick knockouts to begin his UFC run, but then kind of faced a little adversity, surprisingly to most people, against Basil Efes. And then Kevin Holland, he went all 3 rounds as well. Meanwhile, Gilbert Burns, extremely tough. I mean, his nickname basically means durable for the most part. 2 decisions in a row, a submission win, and then 2 decisions before that. Yeah, I just think this one's going 15 minutes. I really do like that Holland under, but for this show officially and for a play, I wouldn't mind playing it, actually playing it. Give me the Maddalena over 10.5 minutes against Gilbert Burns.
All right. Pedro Munoz is wearing a turtleneck in Miami.
Yeah. I don't understand fashion, but I understand fantasy score. And Kyler Murray, Murray is going under this.
Wow. Very interesting stuff, Dixon. All right. Let's see where we're at here. We're going to go with our favorite GPP play. Weezy, we'll start with you. What are you liking?
For GPP, I've got it's Benoît Saint Denis. I mean, come on, this fight, it doesn't matter. I mean, what if you're entering a lineup, you have to have this fight. You've got to have one of these 2 guys, and maybe even both of them if you think no underdogs are going to win. But yeah, Benoît Saint Denis. This guy fights like his hair is on fire. He's tripled parked, and he's got really important dinner reservations to get to quickly. He throws about 350 distance strike attempts per minute. He attempts 377 takedowns per fight. Above average distance striking pace, above average clinch and ground striking pace, above average submission pace, reverse pace, takedown attempt pace. He's going to force just a whirlwind of a fight where both fighters are going to be scoring. And I like the fact that he's younger and that he is the kind of guy that might actually be tougher than Dustin Poirier. And Dustin Poirier is one of the toughest guys that ever got in the octagon. And I think Benoît Saint Denis is just a younger, more intense version of Dustin. So I love his price here. I'm going to be rostering the shit out of him this week.
Yeah, same, man. I mean, I'm in love with that fight. I'm about as 100% to it as possible. Slight lean, Saint Denis, but yeah, I love that fight. And Monk, what do you got for a GPP play?
Yeah, that one was number one with the bullet. I already talked about my guy in the underdog spot, Jailton. So I'm going to go with the Hulk himself, Ion Cutelaba. 8,400 or something like that. Yeah, 8,400 is wild. Let's not forget, guys, Felipe Lin's got KO TKO'd by Tanner Boser. Yes, it was at heavyweight, and this is at light heavyweight, but it was Tanner fucking Boser. And if the transitive property of DraftKings is in play, Cutelaba KO'd Boser at light heavyweight. So, I mean, he should be able to put Lins through the mat. But yeah, this is a Cutelaba early finish type play. Super cheap for really one of the best DraftKings scores per win on the entire card. I think when he gets a KO win in his career, the average score is like 116. It's something absolutely insane. Even in his last 5, I believe he had the 2 wins. It's something crazy like 116, 117 between Boser and Devin Clark here. So this could be a shit show. And give me Cutelaba, the guy that's it's really all or nothing here. And I'm once again going into the darkness with Ion Cutelaba. So hopefully we come out on the other side with a early finish victory.
Yeah, I think that fight's so important, man. Like you said, it is a shit show. Every Cutelaba fight is a shit show. And
throw
shit
your
shows,
IQs out the window, all that.
IQ out the window, cardio out the window, everything out the window. It's a very important fight to target. And I'm hoping it's not too popular.
Same.
For me, I'm going to go with, I talked about this guy a little bit already. Rebellis to Spain, 9,300, going against Josh Parisian. And I don't say this too often, but I think that 60-second bonus is seriously on the table here. This guy has a ton of power. And Martin Buday, of all people, was giving Parisian some serious problems on the feet. It looked like Martin Buday was on his way to KOing Parisian up until he got him down to the mat and subbed him. But I mean, I think if at any point, this fight is on the feet, it could be on the feet for just a couple seconds. That might be the amount of time Despain needs to get this knockout. So I think not only does he have first round knockout upside, but he has that 60-second knockout upside as well. Weezy, who is your GPP play this week?
GPP, I've got I already said Benoît Saint Denis. Is it cash play?
Oh, I think Gordo, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Late. My bad.
You guys hit all 3 of my top 3 there. I thought I'd get away with a sneaky Ion Cutelaba here as someone I could target GPP. We talked about that one, so let me just kind of swap with Monk here and take a guy he talked about previously, Jailton Almeida, 8K for me in GPP. High risk, high reward, right? Jailton Almeida averages 120 points in his wins. He is facing his toughest test to date. This is going to be a huge eye opener for us to go out there and see what this guy's really made of. But every time Curtis Blaydes has lost, Pavlovich, first round KO, he looked tentative, he looked scared. And if he comes out scared again here, it's not going to end well. Lewis, fluke KO, but still, he's lost by KO all 3 times in the first or second round when we've seen him lose here in the UFC. And I do think that there is risks there when you're trusting a guy in Curtis Blaydes, whether that be his mentality going forward, whether that be his ability to be taken down, or maybe Jailton Almeida really is just that good. It is a big risk we're taking. That's why he's a target for me in GPP, but I do think he has a very high ceiling this week.
All right. Sounds good. We'll move on to our favorite cash play. We'll start with you, Weezy. What do you got for cash?
For cash this week, I've got Sean O'Malley. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. This guy lands a ton of volume. He's favored to win the fight. And in this case, I don't mind if somebody's in a 5-round fight and they might not finish. I could care less about that, right? Because if you're getting 25 minutes and you're getting 30 points for a win bonus if you win, you really only need to be around, 3 points a minute to get over 100 points in a decision win. So in this case, somebody like O'Malley, who really lands a ton of distance strikes per minute, favored to win the fight against a punching bag in Marlon Vera, who can just take everything that you dish out. I could see O'Malley maybe landing 150, 200 significant strikes here and going well into the triple digits in a decision win.
All right, Monk, who do you got for cash this week?
I'm going to go with Marina Moroz against somebody that's retiring in Joanne Wood. We never play retiring fighters, and we almost always love to play the fighter that is fighting the retiring fighter. Yeah, she's on a 2-fight skid, but she has 6 sub wins professionally, and Joanne Wood she just gets subbed throughout her whole career. She's been subbed, I think, 5 times. Arm bars, guillotines, rear naked chokes, a plethora of submissions here. And yeah, sounds like she's retiring. So I'm going with Marina Moroz here. I think she gets it done inside the distance. And I think she gets it done possibly even in the very first round, because that's when Joanne Wood gets subbed. If you look at all of her subs, a lot of them are in the very first round. So I'm going to take a chance here. I'm going to go with somebody that's probably going to be overlooked. And I'm hoping to get well over 100 points here with the sneaky first round submission from Marina Moroz here. You can only pick one, guys. It's either the OnlyFans fade or the retiring fighter fade. One of those seems to be a lot stronger than the other. So I'm going to go with the retiring fighter fade here.
I like it. Yeah, I actually really like targeting that first fight of the night. For me, I'm just going to go with Asu Amabayev. He's 9,500, very expensive, scored 105 in his debut. He's like minus 600 on the money line, which I don't necessarily agree with, but he's going against CJ Vergara, whose takedown defense isn't great. His get-up game is not great. His grappling defense isn't great. Makes a ton of mistakes on the mat. And yeah, Asu's a guy that can definitely go out there, get takedowns. I think a sub's very much on the table as well. I think he's somewhat safe this week. So 9,500 expensive, but I do have him in my cash lineup. And Gordo, who do you like for cash this week?
Yeah, you make me go last again. My options are already taken. Let's talk about somebody else here, and a different approach I'm going to have is I am going to be playing some of Benoît Saint Denis in cash this week, and hear me out, just because I do think the guy's a decent floor. I'm not saying he wins this fight a lot of the time, but we've seen a great pressure going forward early on. We have seen phenomenal pace and takedowns, as well as him being able to take a beating such as Alessio dos Santos put onto him. He has shown good heart, good resiliency, and I do think that if he loses this fight, he's still going to have a couple rounds to go out there and have a ton of success on the mat, shoot a ton of takedowns, have a ton of volume, and bring a really hellacious pace. I do think his floor is still there for a guy at 8.9K. So I think that there are better options. I do like Almabayev, as mentioned. I do like O'Malley, but I do think that Benoît Saint Denis himself has a floor, and I do think he pushes a good enough pace to go out there and live off his salary in cash.
All right, sounds good to me. We'll move on to our value play. I'll kick this one off. I mean, we've already talked about him so much, but how can I not talk about him? It's Jailton Almeida, 8,000. I mean, if he would have finished Derek Lewis, I think we might see Jailton Almeida at like 9,000. I think people are so low on Jailton Almeida after that performance. The fight absolutely sucked. It felt like a fever dream. It felt like the fight took an hour. But, outside of that, this guy is a great grappler. He's very dangerous on the mat. And I have a strong suspicion if he does take down Curtis Blaydes, he can finish this guy. I think there's a massive advantage in the BJJ. And, Curtis Blaydes, we haven't really seen his defensive wrestling tested. Obviously, he's a great offensive wrestler. But a lot of times when these wrestlers get on their back, they don't look great. Almeida's a BJJ black belt. Very good grappler, and although he didn't finish Derek Lewis, I think he could potentially finish here in this matchup against Blaydes. So I think somebody said it earlier, it's one of those fights where I think the winner is going to look like a massive score here, but I'm more so on the Jailton Almeida side, and I do think there's value at 8K. I think there's some recency bias here, and I'm looking to take advantage. Weezy, who's your favorite value play this week?
Yeah, it's Jailton. I mean, I've got him as the ass shaving of the week. I was laughing my ass off when I saw this line because it doesn't make any sense. It really is people who are still butthurt that Jailton didn't get the finish. And as somebody who on my show said at the time, when you open, a fight doesn't go to decision line at minus 10,000 and fighters are underpaid, you might get somebody like Jailton Almeida to go out there and decide, I'm going to win this fight by decision, because if my friends were to bet on me to win by decision, they would win 20 times as much as they would if they just bet my money line. So when I saw that fight go to decision, I wasn't mad at Jailton. I'm like, this guy's trying to feed his family. He made a fight go to decision that was never supposed to go to decision. And he probably made a lot of money under the table by doing that. And now I think the line reflects that people think that Jailton Almeida could not finish Derek Lewis. No, he did that on purpose. That's how good he is. That's how good he is. He was in a cage with Derek Lewis, where Curtis Blaydes was in the same cage with Derek Lewis. Curtis Blaydes was scared shitless to shoot a takedown on him. And when he finally did, he got his head like thrown into the 15th row. Jailton Almeida took this man down 10 seconds into every round, mounted him 3 seconds later, and stayed there for 4 minutes and 47 seconds in every single round. He's probably the most dominant fighter in the UFC today, and we're getting him at even money. Yeah, dude, this is value. Jailton's going to shave this guy's ass, and he's going to score triple digits.
Dude, he was standing up in mount. That's how dominant this guy was.
Yeah.
Gosh, yeah. I'm pissed at him for that performance. I lost a lot of money on it, but a lot of people are looking into that performance a little bit too much, I think. For this
allegedly,
Monk, what do you got for value? But I think we all four talked about Almeida in some type of fashion.
Yeah, allegedly for Weezy there, but yeah, that's reminds me of Pulp Fiction. And Jailton Almeida's outside, jumps into the dumpster after the fight, gets on the payphone. How'd we do? I'll see you in Nashville, buddy. Let's fucking go. Yeah, I'll switch it up, man. I'll go with Gilbert Burns here against JDM. Now, I am probably going to end up picking JDM to win a decision. However, he did show the first adversity in the UFC was against, as I already mentioned, Basil Hafez with the takedowns and the 45% control time over 15 minutes. That is not good when you're about to fight Dorino Gilbert Burns here. Who has lost to grapplers recently, but has looked pretty good against strikers like Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, Neil Magny, even, an aging Jorge Masvidal. Yeah, he just has trouble with the grapplers here. And while Maddalena may be better at grappling than a lot of people think, he's still nowhere near a Gilbert Burns level. So if Burns can get things to go his way, I think 7,600 can be a decent value here, even in a decision if he gets a few takedowns. And good Lord, if Gilbert Burns is on top of you for 45% of a 15-minute fight, he's going to be landing some ground and pound, working for some submissions. So there's some potential there, potential value. Don't count out Gilbert Burns if you were thinking about it. And I like him for a value play here.
All right. And last but not least, Gordo, right? And by the way, Gordo, I keep picking last. I'm just looking at the screen. I'm going me, Weezy, Monk, and then sorry.
Yeah, maybe I'll talk about Almeida again, but it allows me to say that he's going to shave ass so much that he might need a new razor blade.
Yes, sir. Let's go.
This is maybe why I go last. Maybe I should just stick to it. But a potential value play for me this week is going to be a guy in Michelle Oleksiejczuk. Michelle, who cares what his name is at this point, but I do think his win condition scores very, very well. I'm not saying he wins all the time, but when he does, 7.5K is going to look cheap. Oleksiejczuk is a guy who's going to walk forward. He's going to have the better cardio on the spot. He has the ability to hit all levels, head, body, even a couple leg kicks in there sometime, but a very forward pressure boxer, a lot of power in his hands. And I do think in hindsight, in a victory for him, he is one of the higher ceilings as an underdog. We all know that he has the capability to go out there and score 117 like he did against Angel Kwani in a knockout, but also has the ability to sustain pace and pressure later rounds that sometimes Pereira can't do. Either way, it's a fight that I do think the winner is going to look like a hindsight larger favorite than he is, and I do think at 7.5K there is some potential value on it.
All right, absolutely. Moving on to the dart throw, a couple dart throws definitely sticking out. We'll start with you, Gordo, so I don't forget. I want to make sure you go first here.
Well, this is the one where I don't really have too hot of a take on it. I guess the one dart throw you have here is the ugliest one of the slate. The one where I don't really want to go first. And that's going to be Parisian. I'm pretty high in Dustin this week. I'm very high on him. I do think a quick win bonus on the table. But what do we have? 4 minutes of tape on this guy? We take out that one fight. Like his last three fights have gone, 49 seconds? We still have a lot of questions to be answered. This is going to be the best.
Gordo, they went 20 seconds.
Yeah.
The last three fights went a total of 20 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 12 seconds, I think.
Now, I know myself, I say all the time, 20 seconds is plenty long enough, but I do think that there is still a lot to learn on a guy here like Dustin. He has fought a horrible level of competition, and yes, he has that Taekwondo black belt, but we have not seen him off his back. We have not seen him go out there and answer a lot of questions. And although Parisian might not be the type of guy to bring him those questions, in hindsight, are we going to go out there and really be surprised if this guy gets exploited, really? It is interesting. I am on Dustin here. I do think he wins this fight. However, at 6.9K, Parisian is one of those maybe just trying to fill in those voids. He is a dart throw. I'm not playing him that many lineups, but if I do think when he wins, he could connect for the optimal.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the two dart throws I have written down. It's ugly, but if he somehow gets on top, probably makes it look easy, but he probably gets finished in 30 seconds as well. But yeah, definitely a dart throw. Weezy, what do you got for this week?
CJ Vergara. I mean, he's a tough opponent. The guy's pretty durable, and the pressure can really rattle a lot of people. And that's one thing that CJ is going to bring. He's going to bring pressure, and if he can get a Sue on the back foot, his takedown defense is going to look a lot better. And so, I mean, I just think like this is a stupid line. This guy's beating Kazakhstani cans, you know. I mean, he's beating 43-year-old Chris Kalidas, 40-year-old Zach Makovsky. And yeah, when I looked at his record, I'm like, okay, this guy's fighting some names over in Brave, which is a solid regional scene organization. He's fighting some names that I recognize. But when you look a little bit deeper, this guy's striking sucks. You know, he's going to need to get takedowns. Otherwise, CJ is going to beat 7 shades of shit out of him walking forward against him. So, you know, Asu has to get takedowns here. There is a world where he doesn't get takedowns. And in that world, CJ Vergara at 6,700 is making your lineup optimal if you get the other picks right, because he could win this fight if he gets his way.
Would you go as far to say Asu's a potential phony or no?
No, I'm not going to call him that, because he has fought solid guys, like not like 0-3 pretzel vendors like a Dennis Bondar or an Ihor Petr, but you know, so he's fought decent guys. But yeah, dude, his striking isn't great. I think if this fight stays standing, CJ is going to walk him down and hurt him. So yeah, I mean, we'll see, man. I'm not laying the juice on Asu Almabayev this week. I think that line has gotten out of hand. The parlay boys are in the pool and they're stinking up the water, ladies and gentlemen.
That they are, man. I'm going to get a little crazy here. I'm going to go with the retiring fighter, Joanne Wood, and for one reason and one reason only. And it comes down to Marina Moroz. Like, if Marina Moroz decides not to wrestle, not to grapple, I think this is a very, very... She throws a ton of volume. She's still landing almost 7 significant strikes per minute, which is some of the best volume on the entire card. And you look at Marina Moroz, yes, she subbed Joanne Wood in their first fight, but that was a long time ago. She doesn't really wrestle that much at all. She's only landing 0.67 takedowns per 15 minutes, which honestly is extremely concerning. Like, if she does not get this fight down to the mat, I don't see in what world Marina Moroz looks minus 220, 225. Obviously, if she does get Wood down, I think the sub is super live. I'm actually picking the sub, but if Marina Moroz goes out there and strikes with Wood for 15 minutes, I mean, I think this is a pick 'em fight, and Joanne Wood actually scores really well in her wins also. So I don't mind Joanne Wood. All comes down to the game plan for Marina Moroz, but I don't think anybody's going to play Wood out there. So I don't mind some Wood as a dart throw. Parisian was my other one. Gordo, what do you got for a dart throw this week?
This is the one time I did go first.
I'm tweaking.
He picked the lawn dart. Come on,
Monk might be.
Yeah, man. Moroz beat up a crackhead. I don't know what the fuck Joanne Wood's gonna do to her. Give me Cheeto Vera, baby, for a dart throw. I mean, come on. Yes, he might be a human punching bag, as Weezy said, but guess what happens in every fight? He gets outlanded and he wins that goddamn fight, except for Corey Sandhagen. But we're not talking about that one. Yeah, Cruz outlanded him. I mean, Rob Font hit him with 271 significant strikes, and Cheeto left that fight like he hadn't even been touched. Frankie Edgar outlanded him as well. I mean, Sean O'Malley's definitely going to outland him. And O'Malley / Tim Welch probably have, is it Welch or Welch? Probably have something planned. They tend to have very good game plans, especially in these past 3 fights. So I am a little bit nervous about that as a Cheeto Vera fan. But the one thing Vera does is not get finished. He can stay in there for all 25 minutes. And if this thing goes to split, man, or if this thing goes to decision, I mean, O'Malley's been on the winning end of at least one greasy split decision. Why couldn't it go the other way for Cheeto Vera if it gets that far? So hopefully he can look good in, late round 2, rounds 3, round 4, round 5, after, as everybody says, he's a slow starter. I wonder how many times we're going to hear that this week. But yeah, I love him. I might be picking him overall, and I really do love him for a dart throw this week at like, what, 7K question mark? Yeah, 7K. I mean, you could do a lot worse with a guy that has a real potential to go 25 minutes at 7K.
Yes.
Dang it.
You're off your game today.
Yeah, I'm so I was up since 6 o'clock in the morning. I've had 3 energy drinks. I've been just working all day.
Right.
What I was trying to say was Marlon Vera is a slow starter, but once he does get going, he's pretty solid. All right, we'll move on. What shirt is that again? Is that Vera?
Tito Vera, baby. Let's
That's
go.
a nice shirt, man. Or is that a hoodie?
It's a hoodie.
Very nice. I gotta get me one of those then.
Yes, sir.
All right, so we did the dart throw. All right, we're going to go over the results from last week. What was that, Gordo? What was that?
We don't have to. We just show Weezy's score and then we can move on.
No, we gotta. If you guys have any questions in the chat, I see a decent amount already. Type them in. We'll get to them in a second. So in fourth place was Gordo. He had Ludovic Klein with 135. Christian Leroy Duncan 107. Abdul Karim Al Sawadi 37. Gaziv 22. Sapai 50. Tyson Pedro 12. Gordo scored 366.28. Third place was Monk Umar Nurmagomedov 118. Muhammad Makayev 73, Christian Duncan 107, Gaziv 22, Pedro 12, Zahabi 60. Monk scored 395.55. In the second place was myself, Umar 118, Ursig 93, Makayev 73, Rajabov 76, Sopai 50, and then Cunningham 15. I can't believe he got 15 points. That's impressive. Cunningham got 15 points. Holy crap. Shout out to Cunningham, man. So I scored 448.03. And then in first place was our Uncle Weezy. Incredible lineup. Ludovic Klein, 135. Makayev, 73. Duncan, 107. Rosenstruck, 93. Rajabov, 96. And Zahabi, 60. Scoring 567.16. Shout out to Uncle Weezy. You got first place.
Yeah, you got to take them when they come like that, man. That was a sweet one. And, you know, I was falling a little bit behind. I had a couple of weeks. I think one of the weeks this year, you guys, I think I might have scored 186 points. And I just got blown out of the water by everybody. So I'm trying to claw my way back into contention here. But yeah, that's every once in a while, you know, it all comes together like butt cheeks. And you put together a lineup of 567 points and take down a single entry. So hoping to build on that this week. You're not going to replicate that performance, but I hope I can get over 500 again.
Oh, you can replicate
he can for sure. And I don't want to take anything away from Weezy's win, but like shout out Canadian MMA. Let's go. It's a hobby got one for us.
Yeah, he did it. He sure did it.
Minus 900 favorite Javid Basharat left holding the bag. Like, what happened? Yeah, that's rough.
Man, the parlay boys were in shambles.
Yeah, they were.
All right. So overall standings, we are 7 cards in. We got Monk 2,587 DraftKings points in third. Weezy 2,805 DraftKings points in second. Gordo 2,899 DraftKings points, and myself 2,987 DraftKings points. Gordo was like 5 points away. So again, a little bit of lead. I'm now 87 ahead of Gordo, 181 ahead of Weezy, and then 399 ahead of Monk. All right. And yeah, good cash there. Plus 500 for Zahabi. Holy crap. All right. Lineups for this week. We'll start with our Uncle Weezy. What do you got?
Oh, right back at you.
And he's still muted.
Oh, no.
I was just saying how many goddamn spreadsheets I had up on my screen. It's just a mess over here. You know, I blame it all on the return of probability later on tonight. So, but yeah, here's what we're going with for this week's lineup. I've got the Cuban on top in Despain. And then we're going Sugar Sean O'Malley, Benoît Saint Denis, Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week, who's Jailton Almeida, the Bootsy Collins Memorial Dogs Are Barking pick of the week in Mihail Oleksiejczuk, and then yes, your dart throw, CJ Vergara, going to walk forward like Michael Myers with a machete, and he's going to beat the living shit out of Asu Almabayev. You all heard it here first. No, I'm not betting it though.
I think he's going to run forward. I don't think he walks anywhere.
All right, Monk, what do you got for this week?
Love it. We're going Mateusz Gamrot, the crackhead beater, Marina Moroz. We're going Benoît Saint Denis, Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week, Jailton Almeida, Michael Venom Page, and Marlon Cheeto Vera. Let's go.
All right, up top, I'm going with Almabayev. I'm going with Despain. I'm going with Benoît Saint Denis. And then I'm going with Almeida. And then I'm going with Marlon Vera. And then I'm going with the retiring fighter, Joanne Wood. Gordo, what do you got?
I need to pull this up real quick because I thought for a second we had the exact same lineup. Only difference is I have Munoz instead of Moroz.
Oh,
so
okay, that's close.
I'm going to pivot to a second lineup I have here just for this one circumstance because this happened a lot last year and I don't know why. How do we have the same lineups like this? But the other lineup I have, which is prone to changing, is going to be having Robelis to Spain up top. We are going to take, where is it? Oh,
I think it's Despagni.
Despagni?
Yeah, Monk's right.
Despagni.
We're going to take Robelis to Spain up top, Benoît Saint Denis, Jailton Almeida, Ion Cutelaba, Petr Yan, and Pedro Munoz.
All right. Sounds good to me. All right, let's get to some questions here. Scrolling down to see if... Okay, so we'll start with the Becca. This one can go to... Pedro Munoz. I think it's Jack Della Maddalena. There's a big difference in prices, though. Jack is $7,600, and Munoz is very cheap at what?
71.
71. So yeah, it's probably, I'd say Jack. I'm picking Jack to win. Anybody else have anything to say? Like some of you guys are picking Burns.
If Munoz wins, I think it's decision. I think it's pretty relatively low scoring.
Yeah.
It's just a simple case of risk versus or GBP versus cash. Like I think Munoz has the safer floor. I think he's a safer play, but Maddalena has way more upside in my opinion.
Yeah. This Petr Yan minus 125 crazy. I feel like I gotta play. If it was 5 rounds, I would feel more inclined to play Petr Yan. I just feel like it's a close fight. Anybody have a strong take on the Yan Song fight? I think it's close.
I think it's close.
I think it's going to be really close.
Good fight. Really good fight.
Yeah.
Fun. And we're going to, that's what I wrote earlier. We're going to find out exactly who these guys are now at this stage of their career. Is Petr Yan, somebody that's on a 3-4 fight skid, whatever the case may be in his last 5, is he going to be able to rebound against a very, young and top of the division type guy in Song Yadong, or is Song Yadong just going to out athletic him and show us that Petr Yan is indeed done? I think we're going to find out.
Yeah. Who has the highest ceiling? For me, it's the Spain. I think he has that 60-second bonus upside. I think he can put up 120, 130. Anybody else? Benoît Saint Denis also.
Mathematically, it's
Saint Denis Poirier fight because it's 5 rounds.
Mathematically, it's Poirier or Saint Denis. O'Malley's up there. Almeida's up there as well at 1, 2, 3. I don't have numbers on Despagna, to use for standard deviation, but mathematically, it's those 3 guys.
Gordo, anybody?
Yeah, it's just bang for sure with that quick win bonus. I also think a sneaky play. I don't think we talked about him that much. I know Monk has him in his lineup, but the way that Luque was able to get takedowns, I think that Gamrot has a ton of takedown upside. I think he's someone who could be very active from that regard as well. So he could be a sneaky play to go out there and contend.
True. How is Parisian going to take this Spain down? I don't
Nipples
know.
First.
Can you bring a ladder in the cage? Maybe climb up the ladder? I don't know.
Dude, the only way you take guys like that down is with a body lock and an inside trip or a sweep. You've got to mess if you're trying to take down somebody that's taller than you. You've got to mess with their feet.
What do you guys like for a fight ends? I think we could get a bunch of splits. A lot of these fights.
Main event.
Main event. Yeah, I could see that.
Barber Chuk. It's Maycee Barber.
Oh yeah. Jeez.
Yan Song.
Yeah.
Yep.
Maddalena Burns easily could end in split depending on how that fight looks.
Yeah. Because Burns could get takedowns in all 3 rounds, but not do much with them. And Burns and Jack could land the bigger shots on the feet, and you might go to the scorecards not knowing who won that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think my favorite 2 are probably Barber Chuk and then that Yan Song. The Yan Song fight to end by split is actually only plus 320, which I don't think I've seen a male fight that low ever. So just goes.
John loses by split, he might just retire. He might say, "Fuck this."
Yeah, I agree. This one can go to Monk. Monk, is O'Malley worth the points in a win?
He's 92. His average DraftKings points per win is 98. In 5-round fights, I don't know how many of those he's had off the top of my head. 1 or 2.
One.
He scored 90, 90.74. So I tend to say no, but it is a 5-round fight, and O'Malley or Vera does allow quite a few significant strikes. So I think I think it's a coin flip. Honestly, I wouldn't fade him just because he's expensive, but I wouldn't go all in just because he's not the most expensive. I'm probably going to be around field weight.
Who is the best pick for captain? Like the guys we mentioned, like Almeida, Despain, Benoît Saint Denis, like someone like that.
Marina Moroz.
Yeah, honestly. What is that staff on? What that staff? I think there's some spelling errors here, Dixon.
Was that staff on BSD's forehead? I didn't see it. I don't know.
But Tercios came in the other week with fucking leprosy on his chest, and nobody said anything. So, well, Roses was the one to pull out of that one. Maybe he did it for good reason. That's contagious.
I do have a microbiology test tomorrow, so can I count this as studying?
There you go.
Staph is the bacteria, and it can cause a wide array of things, including impetigo on the face. But a lot of that stuff is not as contagious if it's treated earlier, right? It depends on what stage it is. If it's a spot where it's still contagious, it's still under the infectious stage of it, you know what? Maybe it's going to be Poirier who doesn't want to fight after all. If he's like, this could get to me, this could infect me. But at the end of the day, I think that if we're taking pictures, if we're at this point in the stage in the fight, Benoît Saint Denis there, he's ready to go, and I think that they're just going to throw down no matter what. I don't think he's impaired in any way, and I think he's ready to go.
Just rub some hot sauce on it. Let's go.
Yep.
Yeah. Last question. Parisian's going to win PFL $1 million. No, he's not.
Yeah.
Parisian versus
Dante O'Maze.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Ngannou. Yeah.
Oh boy. No, that's not happening. All right, we're going to get to our quick picks prediction round method. You know the drill. We'll start with our Uncle Weezy. What do you got?
We have got all right. Starting from the main event, I got Sean O'Malley by decision. I got Benoît Saint Denis 3rd round submission. I've got Kevin Holland by decision. I've got Jack Della Maddalena by decision. Petr Yan by decision. Jailton Almeida shaving ass by submission round 2. Maycee Barber decision. Gamrot decision. Kyler Phillips decision. Oleksiejczuk KO round 2. Felipe Lin's decision. Despain KO round 1. Almeida decision and Moroz decision. I only have 4 finishes out of 14 fights.
Wow.
We actually have 13 out of the 14 same picks, Weezy. And I have 1, 2, 3. I don't have many finishes as well. 3, 4, 5. I have 6 finishes. So in the main event, I'm taking Sean O'Malley by decision. I'm taking Benoît Saint Denis submission round 2, rear naked choke. I'm taking Page by decision. Give me Maddalena KO 2. Give me Yan by decision. Give me Jailton Almeida submission round 1, head and arm choke. Give me Barber decision, Gamrot decision, Phillips decision, Oleksiejczuk decision, Lin's decision. Give me Despain 20-second knockout. Give me Almeida submission round 2, rear naked choke, and then give me Marina Moroz submission round 2, armbar. Gordo, what do you got for picks this week?
Yeah, if you guys want to hear any more about these picks, I'll be live in any minute now. So, selfless plug there. But up top, we'll take Sean O'Malley by decision, Benoît Saint Denis sub 2, Kevin Holland decision, Gilbert Burns decision, Petr Yan decision, Jailton Almeida KO 1, Maycee Barber decision, Gamrot decision, Munoz decision, Michel Pereira decision, Ion Cutelaba round 1 KO, Robeles Despain KO round 1, Alsu Almabayev sub 2, and Marina Moroz sub 1.
All right, last but not least, Monk, quick picks.
Chito Vera decision. Benoît Saint Denis KO 2, MVP KO 1, Maddalena decision, Petr Yan decision, Almeida sub 3 RNC, Barber decision, Gamrot decision, Phillips decision, Pereira sub 2 arm triangle, Cutelaba KO 1, Robeles de Spaghetti KO 1, Asu Almabayev sub 2 rear naked choke, and Marina Moroz sub 1 triangle armbar optimal lineup. Let's go.
I'm sorry, did you call him spaghetti? What was that?
Robeles Spaghetti.
I kind of like it. All right. So yeah, we went through everything. We're going to kick it around real quick. I know Gordo has a show to get to 6 minutes ago. So Gordo, we'll start with you. Where can they find your show that's starting starting now, basically?
6 minutes ago. Yeah, no, it's okay. Anticipation, letting it build. The tension is there. They want to hear the picks. We're going to give it to them. Plays and Fades YouTube channel. I'm breaking down with my friend and co-host this week, Ryan Larkin. We'll be talking some fights there from both a betting and a DraftKings perspective, as well as always covering Rainmakers at the end, covering prize picks at the end, covering best bets brought to you by Coolbet. A bunch of fun stuff like that should all be covered in timestamp after the fact as well. If you want to catch it after probability, which will be talked about shortly as I knock over my iPad. Let's go. We're fired up to talk about some fights. I am so pumped for this card. Looking forward to it. I will not be here next week on the channel, taking a week off. So these fights mean even more to me. I'm excited to see them. I'm excited to talk about them. So check me out on YouTube at Plays and Fade Sports, and I appreciate all three of you.
Sounds good. Shout out to Luis Rodriguez in the building. Yeah, shout out to Luis. You had a great win against Denis Bondar. You broke him. You submitted him in the second round. So shout out to you. Appreciate you for taking your time. I know you're busy with your training and all that. But yeah, great win once again. Monk, what do you got going on?
Yeah, I picked him. Rodriguez. I loved it. Ronaldo Rodriguez. I forget what it was. Yeah, you can find me tomorrow with the one and only Lou Betya live from Twitter jail. Might be getting out soon. I'm talking to a judge, got a couple attorneys on the case. We're working it out. But yeah, you can find me on the happy hour tomorrow at midnight Eastern, 11 o'clock p.m. Central Time. And I'm not doing it for $2.99. I don't want to rush it, but either I think by UFC 300, I will have a new show, Bankroll or Bust, the first ever MMA gambling game show. We are going to start running that probably by UFC 300. So if you're a capper or if you have a phone and like to talk about fights, hit me up or find me in your DMs because I will be sliding on in there. So yeah, other than that, check out everybody else's stuff, and I'm excited for this card.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then last but not least, Uncle Weezy, tell the people what we're doing in 22 minutes.
Yeah, this is the you guys have been waiting for it. I've had people showing up at my door begging me to bring back probability. It's coming for 1 week only for free on YouTube because it's UFC 299, because it's the best card of the year, and because I'm finally finishing up the coding on this new project. I have put it all together today. We've got the new betting template, we've got the prop template, and I've even got Uncle Weezy's tits metric ready to go for some fantasy score props, some takedown props, some significant strike props. We're looking to stack cash tickets like flapjacks, and it starts with probability 9:30 Central Time. Let's bathe in the blood of our vanquished DraftKings enemies and the bookies that we fleece. It all starts this week, 9:30 Central Time, Uncle Weezy's YouTube channel. Probability, be there.
Let's go. I will definitely be there because I will be on the stream with you. I'm looking forward to it, man. I've been looking forward to it all week. Debuting it. It should be fun. So yeah, check it out. About 20 minutes there. And then as usual, got the usual content going live Friday and then going live Saturday for Best Bet. Thank you all for hanging out. Leave a like on your way out. Subscribe to Pub Sports Radio. And best of luck for UFC 299. See you guys later.